This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both, so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. Good morning, it's Brian. We are back. It is another podcast. Today I am with a phenomenal entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, I'm with an entrepreneur and investor in the startup space. You're going to get to hear both sides of the coin when starting a company and making it great. My good friend Trevor, welcome.
Brian, thank you so much for having me on today, man. Really appreciate it.
Man, it's going to be great. So you wear many hats, right?
Yep.
I didn't first meet you with UpNext. I first met you over at Quake,
Yes.
right? Which is a great accelerator down here.
Yep.
Folks up in New York as well.
Yep.
And we started collaborating, and you guys came in hard, and you were investing in companies, and I built up this respect. And I think my first message, I'm going to come out of the gates hard with startups today and everybody listening, is everything is based on trust. So I built up a strong trust with Trevor at the beginning, and we started to build up a trust, which then led to a friendship. Now, when you got a trust and a friendship, and then you're pitching something afterwards, it becomes way easier because it becomes more of a conversation, right?
Yep.
How's that so
Absolutely.
far? Pretty
Absolutely.
accurate?
It's been pretty. It's been extremely accurate. And I brought this up on the phone with you the other day when we were talking about this. But it really meant a lot to me that you embraced me so early. I've been here for about 2 years. I was a founder in New York for about 5 years before that, running a company called Kudzu, gave students rewards for good grades. Came out here for Quake, and I've spent my entire life in the Midwest and the East Coast.
Yeah.
LA is a completely different beast. LA building this ecosystem, both from the VC and the founder side of things, is just a different world. So, man, I said it on the phone, I'll say it here. I really appreciate you just kind of embracing me from the beginning. But yeah, I think that's where the friendship and the trust really began.
Yeah, so it's interesting you talk about the different parts of the world and how it's different. Like, what was the biggest difference for you between the West Coast of America and the East Coast or the Midwest?
There's balance. There's a little bit more balance out here. I'd say New York, it can start feeling like a rat race after a while. You kind of feel like you're on a hamster wheel. There can be a lot of white noise. There's a lot of white noise out here as well. I think the biggest difference for me, however, was where I was in not only my career but my entrepreneurial journey as well. When I came out here, I had taken 5 years of lumps and in
On the first
wrong
company.
media. Yeah, exactly. I made all the mistakes, and then I came out here and had the experience with Quake and had the opportunity to take a step back and look at some of the things that our founders did that I didn't like, that I saw in what we did in my previous company. I saw some things that I did like that I wanted to take away from them. And so when
Did you approach the second company differently? Because you approached the second.
I was just going to say.
Go on, yeah.
That's what I was just going to get to. It has been. It's like getting I played football in college, so if you hear a lot of jock analogies, like that's just how I get down. But it was like getting a second chance at playing football, at playing a sport, being able to just kind of understand the mentality that goes into it from a preparation standpoint. I think that was the biggest difference, really going in and trying to and focusing more and more on the customer, exactly, focusing on the market, exactly. We'll get into what UpNext does and kind of where we operate, the space that we handle. But I'd say the biggest difference was just the detail, the attention to detail that was taken after.
Yeah,
that first
you just know
experience.
what to do, right? In the first one, you
Exactly.
fumbled through,
Yeah.
and then you go, "Oh my God, that worked. We should do that again."
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
actually, it didn't work as well as we thought we did. Maybe we should change. But then the second time, you have all of this experience and this knowledge, and it's why if you're bringing somebody, a co-founder, in with you, if it's possible that co-founder has started, if they've exited a company previously, beautiful. But as long as they've started a previous company, man, it gives you a fighting chance. If you got two people coming in for the very first time, you've never done it before, God bless you. That is going to be a hard journey.
Yeah. It's super tough. And my partner and I, God bless her, we came in, we grew up together. We grew up together through our first experience. We learned a lot. We did a lot of great things. We made a lot of mistakes. But I think that I would put, our experiences up against, the best of them. I think we really pulled away a lot. I think that we're kind of dangerous now.
Yeah, I know. I feel it, which brings me to the next part of the story. So you're in Quake. You're looking at all these startups. You then came in here. You spoke to my partner over here, and you're like, guys, got this great company. It's a phenomenal opportunity. We go forward in the future. We need to raise $50,000, and we want to make sure that we just got a little bit of fuel so that we can build the great company that it can become. Now, so it's really interesting. And again, this is for folks listening. If we, as an accelerator, get an introduction from a Joe Schmo or just somebody in the street, we will go through deep due diligence because we will start from a place of mistrust. But when we get an introduction from someone that we trust and that we like, it's not that we won't do due diligence, but if we know that person is very smart in the investor space, we will know that they've already done it anyway. So it's very different for us. So when Trevor first came in and he said, look, got this great company, it's going to be called UpNext, need 50 grand, we want you guys to invest and be our first investor in it, we jumped in, right? Pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then tell us what happened then. Tell us firstly why what was so special about UpNext that you came in as a co-founder, and then bring us through a little bit of the journey at the beginning.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of our bag, right? Where have we been, where we at, and where we're going. So UpNext is started off as a music discovery game. It started off with a good friend of mine because we were both from Chicago. We saw the independent artists trend skyrocketing. People like Chance the Rapper, Save Money, the group out of Chicago. We saw them just killing it in terms of taking ownership of their own music. And we said, this is something that people are going to jump on board with. So UpNext started off really as a platform, yes, for music discovery, but we wanted it to be a platform where you as a musician in your mom's basement would have the opportunity to essentially have this toolkit that would allow you to upload tracks, get feedback on them, and get a fully comprehensive understanding of where your most engaged fans are.
Okay.
Now, what that manifested into in its first platform was a simple Tinder swipe left or right. Do you like this song? Do you not like that song? Built that out, got some okay traction on it, but it wasn't sticky enough. There was no sort of engagement outside of the swipe left and the swipe right. We got some good feedback. Some people played with it. It was awesome. That being said, it got us into a accelerator down in Nashville. Project Music was backed by Sony and some other larger labels. There, they said, hey, if you want to make this a little more engaging, you want to make this a game. And let me back up. It was not originally a game as much as it was a music discovery platform. Just kind of swipe left, swipe right. And I said, let's make this a game. So we went more so towards a fantasy sports type of angle. So you essentially get this record label, this digital record label that you build up, and you have now the opportunity to sign artists, right, that you think are going to do well.
Awesome.
They're tiered off. Yeah, it was super great. There were two things that were wrong with that. One, it was a little bit too engaging. So it was for what we call your audiophiles, people who love, digging through the crates, getting lost in SoundCloud and streaming service rabbit holes, and they engaged with it, but what they really, the thing that kind of held us back was the timing on it as well. Fantasy sports, there's a game every week. There's a season coming up. Music, you might have a single out that doesn't, crack the top 10 or doesn't even get any attention years after it comes out. So we knew that we had to configure it somehow. Now, that being said, this version got more engagement than the last version. We had those audio files that would still organically come to us. We had people from around the world paying us for what we really didn't even know what we were selling. We said, hey, you'll have some sort of advertising on the platform. You'll be able to get your music out there. And people just kind of started paying us. We didn't make a lot of money, but we knew that we actually had something. So finally, we applied to Capitol Records Accelerator. And that one really, I think that one was the one that brought it all together for us. It really showed us where the bodies were. It really showed us where our platform was useful. And where it stands now, we're about to release into the App Store probably in the next couple of weeks here. But what we have found is that our platform now is now able to provide a qualitative overlay for musicians, for distributors, for record label executives. Today's world of music is inundated with metadata. People are trying to make decisions based off of social media streams and streaming service streams, or sorry, social media insights and streaming service data, things of that nature. And it works to a certain extent, but you can't exactly understand why the fan is engaging.
Correct. Yeah. So like I got Spotify, and you can listen to you can see the music that I'm listening to, but it doesn't tell you that much about me, right?
Exactly. We have developed a platform that engages fans in two very distinct ways. One, quick hit questions, quick hit contest.
Yeah.
So you have the opportunity to listen to 2 30-second clips. Which one do you like more? You gain 100 points. It's quick, it's engaging. And then we have longer form contest where this can cover the Grammys, for example. Oh, sorry, the Oscars, for example. And Grammys. That's music.
Yeah.
The Grammys, for example, saying, hey, of the Grammy nominated artists, which one do you think, which music would you listen to while you're in the shower? Which song do you think is the best one? Which of these artists has been on the Billboard before? So we essentially offer up a list of thoughts and feelings, and then also trivia-based questions to users from around the nation, from around the world. Now, this is for our audiophiles that love music discovery. We create a platform for community, competition, and content. Now, that's all good and well for our main B2C user, but that's not where we see ourselves really being able to make money. Matter of fact, that's where our...
So I want to pause you for a second because I want to get to the making money and money point just in a sec. But
Yeah.
What's really interesting for everybody listening? We all imagine as startups that we have built the next big thing, and it is 100% built. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, Expert Dojo, we're a startup 5 years ago. We were a startup accelerator 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, if you said to me, Brian, what are you guys doing? I'd be like, dude, I have built the greatest mentorship platform that has ever existed on the planet. Ever exists. It is 100% where we're going to go in the future. But then what happens is, right, you do your mentorship program, you put it out, people start connecting, and then folks just think, wish you could do a little bit more, right? And then you go, okay, cool. So what we'll do is we'll do some training programs. How'd that be? And people are like, okay, that's awesome. And then after that, they go, man, it would be cool if you put some skin in the game and you got more involved in the companies. So we're like, oh, well, how about if we did some small investments? And at the beginning, it was even more of a venture studio, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, like, I sit here today with our accelerator that we're investing in 40, 50 companies this year, like $100,000 checks, our investor lounge that we're building outside, the whole repaint job that's been done in the Dojo. I'm like, obvious, we're an accelerator with an investor lounge attached to it, so the investors are close to startups. But it took us 5 years to get there, which brings me to the conclusion, which is the same conclusion that I'm reaching with you, which is that right at the beginning, our brand is only 14% of what the company is going to be in the future. So all of you folks out there who are trying to make every single detail perfect about everything you do at the start, just hold back a second. I'm not saying bring a shitty product to market. Bring the best product you can to market, but be aware it's going to change.
Yeah.
It's not going to stay like that.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that, and I'm up here giggling because, you're absolutely right. That's how it goes. You bring this child into the world, and you think it's going to be a rock star, and it really just wants to be a painter. And it could be the best painter in the world. It might be the next Da Vinci. But if you bring this child in the world, and you're like, hey, no, you're going to be a rock star. You're going to be a mathematician, whatever it might be. You have to let that child go out into the world and understand and be, take that influence to develop what it wants to be. Same thing with startups. Same exact thing with startups. this one specifically, we thought this was going to be a music discovery game. We thought we were going to be like the next TikTok or something of that nature.
That would have been cool, by the way.
That would have been cool, but you know what the issue with TikTok,
kidding.
there's another TikTok coming. I don't know what it is
Really?
yet, but the thing that we've gotten feedback from...
And those things are amazing. By the way, TikTok, you say TikTok, it's amazing. They come from nowhere. Nobody knows, right? They just don't know. And one day everybody wakes up and said, hey man, you seen that awesome new company that had just flown through? But a million people would have passed on it before. Even Honey, like Mucker Labs talk about the first time Honey came to them. And they're going, what, Chrome extension? I don't think so. We're not going to invest in that. And then suddenly, 7-8 years on, they just sell for $4 billion.
Exactly.
So it's very hard to tell. And I think it all ties back into listen to your customer. So you put it out, you put the very best that you can out, and then you listen to really smart folks who are the people who are going to be engaging in your platform. And then you adapt. I call it you execute, you learn, and then you execute again, or you execute, you learn, you adapt, and then you execute again. And that's what you did to bring it to where it is right now. So how do you see it? By the way, before we get to the good stuff, what was the darkest time in that? Because it's a tough journey. I mean, in startup in general.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Having to go through this.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you. It was when we were driving out here. I was driving out here. I drove out here from Chicago with my co-founder, Allende. And we've known each other forever. And this really stemmed from just two friends just being frustrated, but also like we were kind of frustrated where we were in terms of life, entrepreneurship, just kind of where things were. We had this cool idea. We got some cool traction in the beginning, and then we plateaued. And then we had 32 hours sitting in a car next to each other.
That's way too long to think.
We had 32 hours in a car together, and it was just we had a very come to Jesus conversation with ourselves. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like, we have a great opportunity. This idea has outlasted the execution that we've put on it. What are we really doing? And I think at that point we took the ego away, and that was the best thing that could happen to us. We took the ego away and we opened up our ears. We realized, this isn't going to be, this might be end up being what we want it to be, but the reality of this situation is I'm not a musician. I don't run a record label. I need to listen to these guys. And sure enough, lo and behold, we go to Capitol, we meet a bunch of awesome people. Our network tenfolds in the music space, and we just kind of start showing people, not even the platform, just showing people just a clickable prototype. Hey, this is what we're coming out with.
And they started liking it. By the way, before you got to that stage with Capitol, were there any external destructive forces, without mentioning names or anything else, but that really hurt? Because I just tend to find that when you're successful, man, you got lots of people on that train with you. And when things are tough, everybody's trying to take it from you.
Yeah, I dealt with that in my
hurt you.
I dealt with that in my first venture, and it hurt, man. It hurt, and it took me a while to kind of get back from that and really kind of trust and wanted to even work with friends after that. So it has been premier, like one of the premier focuses of mine is like telling my friend in this company, this will not ruin us. So I think we've done a good job. We've done a pretty good job of making sure external factors don't limit our progress. There's been some that have not necessarily tried to, but have kind of presented odds that we'd have to get over, hurdles that we'd have to get over. But I think that the core of us saying like, hey, this will not tear us apart. This doesn't work if we get torn apart.
Yeah.
I think that from day one. So again, that experience in my first company, that really, really laid the groundwork of things that I want to do, want to get better at, and things that I don't ever want to see again.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Wow. And then so take us to the good bit now. You go into Capitol, you start showing them the app, because we all got to go through that. I always want to reinforce on these podcasts how tough entrepreneurship is. And a lot of people look at folks who exit for 50 million or 100 million or 200, but God bless them. Those people deserve that money.
Oh,
because
1,000%.
when we go through, it's not, most people would not be able to do it.
Yeah. No, not at all.
So take us to the other side of the rainbow. So now we're over. You're in Capitol, and folks are saying they like it.
Folks are saying they like it. We're still in Capitol. We got into Capitol because of the algorithm that we put together around our fantasy music model.
On the game, yeah.
Exactly. And then we came out, and this model kind of is what spit out on the other side. because it was like, this is cool, but it's still like a desktop platform or still it's still a website or web app. You got how engaging is it really going to be? So
Yeah,
now
sure.
it's quick. People are able to prove their tastemakership very
Beautiful.
rapidly. But again, we're going towards this B2C game aspect, and we start showing it to A&Rs. It was A&R or somebody who worked A&R at Empire Records, and he looked at it and he was like, man, like I wish I had this before we sent out, whatever single just came out. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, man, we just spent $60,000 behind this song that, it didn't do anything. It was a flop. And I was like, well, how did you do, did you do any market research on it? He was like, I mean, market research, we know what's going to sell.
I asked my mom.
Right. I got this. I asked my mom. I asked the same people that listen to it. Like, I know this artist. Like, I know what he's gonna like. I was like, oh, so, could this be something that, would this be something that you would need? Like, is something that would help? And we thought that it would be something that would be needed continuously, saying, hey, I really always need to know what my song, what kind of feedback my music is gonna get. And what we're finding now, you talk about, understanding your market, now it's not just market research and digital feedback and focus groups for the music industry. Now we're looking at it as event-based market research for the music industry. And again, I say music industry, but our big, hairy, aggressive goal is we want to be the feedback and digital focus group platform for media at large.
Okay, so this is now for all of the investors that are listening
For
to this,
sure.
right? So I want to paint two pictures. One picture, which is without UpNext.
Okay.
The other picture is with UpNext.
Okay.
And I want to try and get, if I can, to what the outcome is on both sides, either using the platform or not using the platform for the people. So the investors can measure the value in the market and then also look at the competition in the market. So give me both.
Okay.
Picture without it, picture with it. Well, either a concert or a single or whatever is being released, and then using UpNext.
Right. So with the democratization of music in the space, it has given more autonomy to the artist. So of course they can make their own money. So now what's happening is record labels are almost, I mean, the models are changing. So now what they're doing is saying, because of these streams, hey, Brian, you made $100,000 last year on your streams, on all of your streams. Let us pay you 150 grand, and we will go out and we'll recoup that money by making sure that we get even more streams, by putting the right algorithms on streaming services, by putting you on TikTok, by putting you in movies, etc.
Cool.
They do this with, they do this blindly.
Record labels are doing this,
Record
right?
labels,
Wow.
distributors.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's people investing in these artists now as well. And they do this not blindly. They have the metadata to say, hey, like, I'm pretty much know, where it's going to be. What we do is we come in and we say, hey, we can now give you a better understanding of these fans before you go out there. For example, now this is...
So what would you know about me? What kind of things would you know about me?
So...
as a fan?
Without UpNext,
Yeah,
I can see how long you listen to what songs. I can see what songs I can see what genres you're listening to. I can see when you're listening to them. I can't see your age. I can't see some other things unless you kind of add those in. But, I can see kind of the basics, that metadata, that data individually, maybe not that powerful, but at scale, I can understand how the Bryans of the world listen to and engage with music. With UpNext, I give you more qualitative questions, more data, more trivia-driven questions that...
So you're getting to know me.
You're
You're becoming my best friend.
Exactly. Hey, Brian.
And why am I engaging with the questions?
You're engaging with the questions for a couple reasons. So we talked about the community, content, and competition aspect. Some people come to the platform because they want to get on there and they want to whoop their friends' butts.
Yeah.
They want to show, I know music. I'm a digital A&R. I need to be a DJ. I need to be picking music. Some people want to get on there for that. Some people want to get on there for the content, just finding new music. Some people want to see what other people are listening to. There's that community aspect. Now, again, that's the B2C side, Brian. And as an investor and as somebody who has sold B2C products, I prefer the B2B side. I want an enterprise platform. And that is where we've been getting the most traction, quite frankly.
But you need the B2C data so that you can become valuable for the B2B, right? So B2B is obviously business to business, and B2C is business to consumer. So the consumer data, surely, isn't that a driver?
It's a driver, but we do and we don't, right? So if you run a record label and I'm on your record label and I am releasing an album, what you can do, you can come to UpNext, and sure, we do want to make it a B2C platform, and we do want to get people on board. But the reality of this situation is I, as an artist, already have a group, an email base. I have a text message base. I have fans. Let's dive deep into my fans. So what we say to your record label is, hey, give us that list of give us that list of listeners. Give us that list of fans.
We're going to find out what they love.
We'll drop it in UpNext, find out what they love. Give me some concert tickets, and we'll put it up there. That is what has gotten us more traction with some of the largest record labels in the nation.
So that's awesome, right?
Thank you.
Because anybody listening to that is going to say there's nobody who wouldn't want that, right? You're driving more fan engagement. You're finding out more about the fans.
Exactly.
The fans are willing to give you information,
Exactly.
so there's no issues with privacy.
Yeah.
And everybody's able to make better decisions based on what they found out about the fans. Like, there's no losers. It coins a phrase. As I got older in life, at the beginning, man, I wanted disruption, right? I wanted to like fight stuff and go into China shops and just like, and that was my bag. But today, I want frictionless innovation.
Yeah.
And frictionless innovation. I'm too friggin' old. I mean, listen, I can fight, but only on Saturday nights. I don't. I can't do it every day these days. It's tiring and it takes too long. And you know what? You lose a lot of the time.
Yes.
So yeah, you can go down the Uber road, but it's a hard road to go down, and there's a lot of fights between the beginning and the end. What I love about what you're telling me is it's frictionless because every single party wants it. The consumer wants it because they get more engaged with their favorite fans. The artists want it because they get their fans continually thinking about them, which means that they're going to go to their concerts, listen to their songs. The folks who are making the decisions about what gets released and what doesn't get released find out the data about what people enjoy so they can release better music. Everybody wins.
I'll dive deeper.
I love it.
I'll dive deeper. Your concert managers, your Live Nations of the world need to know which artists are the next ones that they need to engage with, right? They're coming from a high level, 30,000 feet in the air, trying to understand what people are listening to. And the metadata says, this is, these artists that have had their first single, kind of go viral, they're the ones that we want to kind of focus on, but we don't know the right ones to. We help music distributors, we help labels, we help road managers, we help artist managers, we help your Live Nations of the world, all with the opportunity of being able to understand their fans more so they can make more money.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing. So everybody gets it, right? You get the product, you get the evolution, you get how it's turned into and where it's come to right now, which is beautiful. Investors, you get the differentiator and you get why products and why the Live Nations in the world would love this. There's 2 points I want to get to. Number one is about investment. Let's start in investment, and then I want to move to users and growth so folks can see where we're going to go to and what you're going to do. But let's start with investment first. I wrote to you the other day, and I'm like, dude, you're the only person who's not harassing me on a daily basis. Now, this is a good thing, I think, right? Because everybody else is like, Brian, I need investment. Brian, I need investment. Not even our investment. I need like you to find other investors because we know everyone. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what do you need? Like $500,000 or $1 million? I'll go out and find people. And you're like, no, we don't need investment yet because we want to get our product right. We want to make sure the product is right, the customer is right. We want to make sure everything's working perfectly. And then when we know, I love it. It's like you've got this Catholic Irish repressed way of working as a startup. It's like you feel guilty before you even ask for investment because of the thought that maybe you could have lost it, right? By the way, it's messed up, but it's good messed up, but it's messed up. Like investors like that. So, but now you got to be at a stage where you're ready to raise, right? Yeah. This has to be it.
Yeah.
So I love what you've done. I commend you for it. I applaud you for it. It's the way startups should be. We build greatness, and when we know we have greatness, we allow other people to come on the train so we can have more greatness. We reduce the risk as much as we possibly can, and you've done that. Yeah. So talk to me about the raises that you're going to be doing in 2020 in maybe 2021, and then talk to me about how the revenue or how the users should increase in line with those raises, or give me a general outline of it.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to talk about a general outline of it.
Mm-hmm.
So as we look at raising right now, again, it's a little bit of PTSD. I've taken money and I've seen the runway kind of shore up while at the same time trying to figure out how are we actually going to monetize this thing. This time, it's been a great opportunity because we are almost inversing the process, right? We see how we can make money. We understand how we have these pilots kind of set up. We've had to tell record labels, let me get to you in Q2 or let me get to you in Q3. So we have this list of people that want to engage with us. The product is all but done. We still need to go out, test it, iterate on it, get feedback on it. Now that said, these pilots that we're running, this means a lot to these guys. There's some real money that's to be made from it. So with that in mind, we look at what exactly we need.
Man, they will pay anything to get the next Shakira, the next Eminem, the next anyone. And then to be able to get the best music that they can get and get the most from their fans.
Exactly.
Like anything, it's millions, tens of millions of dollars.
It's just like investing in artists is just like investing in startups.
Yeah.
You invest in 10, 3 are going to die, 3 are going to be somewhere in the middle, and then, 3 to 4 are going to be in the middle, and then 3 to 4 are going to return the fund. It's those middle 3 to 4 that they're trying to eke more money out of.
Yeah,
that
right.
they're trying that are worth it, that are really worth it to go into and learn more about the fans.
Yeah.
So now we're driving down this B2B and this B2C course. The B2C is going to feed into the B2B because then we're going to get all these bottom feeder independent labels, all the independent artists that want to come to us, independent labels that want to come to us.
Yep.
And of course, as we grow, we'll be able to have that value proposition. But let's take away the B2C away for a minute.
Yeah.
From a B2B standpoint, we're a back end tool that can kind of just continuously run.
100%. But how much money do you need? You must need money for this.
I mean,
gotta need something because at least to build a team, or
to build a team
out,
yeah.
Like 2020.
Yeah,
this is
2020
the year.
Q2. We will probably start, if need be, we'll probably start aiming towards a $500,000 seed round, pre-seed round. Sorry. But that being said, again, I don't want to,
because you're building it in house and you're doing it all yourselves.
Exactly. Right. We have a great team building it out of Chicago that I have almost a 10-year relationship with. We have these contacts that we've been able to make. We're going towards a SaaS platform, so it's not necessarily going to be as function heavy as it is going to be based off of, again, customer feedback and listening to what our people want.
There's a part of me that thinks like Warner Music or someone, or Warner Ventures, those types of folks, they're going to come in like a shot.
So also that's part of it as well. We were talking about this on the phone the other day, and the music industry, music tech is still very early, still very much so the Wild West. A lot of the investments take place. A lot of the investors that we're going to target, we've gotten a couple investment offers as well. We're just not there yet. We're just not looking at that yet. But that being said, it's probably going to end up being a lot of music executives. We talked to one major label, and they have an investment arm. I was introduced to them under the guise of, this is a possible investment. We got into conversation about the qualitative support that we could provide their artists. And then almost as an afterthought, because I realized how much money we can make off of the pilots, I didn't forget about the investment, but I was focused on building the business. And as an afterthought, I was like, oh, by the way, you guys invest, correct? And they were like, we do invest a little bit. We'll probably invest in larger platforms, but with you guys, probably just be an acquisition or something of that nature. And I've heard that 2 or 3 times.
That's okay.
They say it so casually, and I'm just kind of like, where were you guys when I was doing this first?
But by the way, I want this to be our final lesson. Actually, I want to save the lesson. If you have anything else to add it now. I want everyone to have your name and your email address so they can catch you, and then UpNext so they can check it out as well. Yeah. And then I want to finish with a big old conclusion about why this is so important for entrepreneurs to listen to.
Yeah. My name is Trevor Wilkins. I am the CEO of UpNext.
The Trevor Wilkins.
The Trevor Wilkins. No. I'm Trevor Wilkins, COO at UpNext. My email is trevor@theupnext.com. You can check us up at theupnext.com. The app should be out in the next couple of weeks. And I'd say
so like February. So in February, maybe midway through February, you'd expect it to be out?
At latest, yeah.
Okay, so February 2020,
latest.
mid-February 2020,
Yeah.
Download in the App Store, and it would be theupnext.com.
theupnext.com. Yep.
Okay, awesome, yeah. And then any final thoughts for our listeners before I wrap it all in a beautiful little ribbon?
Do as much before you build anything. Put as much pen to paper as possible. Sketch, get as much customer feedback as possible. Get as much investor feedback as possible. Getting customer feedback is awesome, but knowing that the people that are going to be able to fund your journey are into it as well, or at least getting some sort of understanding that people like them that's huge. That's one thing I wish I had done more on my first platform, and something that has paid dividends over and over again in the UpNext journey. Okay,
and I will layer in my overall conclusion to everything you've said, which is you're a warrior, right? That's what entrepreneurship is.
Have to be.
Too many, I get so worried about entrepreneurship in America because so many people I meet, the very first thing out of their mouth is, man, I want to just raise money. Who do you know? What investors do you know? What can you find? Where can you find? I just need the money. Because you know what? I can't grow. I can't do anything without the money. And what you're doing, honestly, it's the real American way. It was what built great entrepreneurs in America 50, 60, 70 years ago, and the opposite to everything I worry about today. You're building a great, strong business. You're surrounding yourself with phenomenal people in the space who really understand this industry. You're listening to the right advice and ignoring the other advice, and you're focusing all of your attention on building and growing, as opposed to who can I hustle some money from to be able to live for another 3 or 4 months. So I commend you for it. Every startup who's listening to this is the way you build a great startup. Wait until you need the money and focus on building greatness at the beginning. For all you investors out there, you have Trevor's email address. If ever you need to contact us, you can contact me at Brian@Expert Dojo. But like he said, he don't need no money right now. All right, Trevor, man, it's a pleasure. I'm so pleased we invested in you. Rock and roll.
Same. Appreciate you guys.
Peace out. That's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.